All right.
All right.
Just here.
All right.
Go.
Good. All right. So tonight is the open forum. This is the First Church of God in Christ. This is my home church. This is where I serve. These are my leaders. And we just wanted to give back to the community. This is a vision of my pastors. So we're going to give back some information, take some thoughts and concerns from some educated people, from some people that's actually in education, right? One of the main concerns I heard was that people who are running our government, especially the statewide, they're doing things and they're not even taking what we have to say into consideration. And it's a thought that they're not even using those who basically have licenses or who work in the education field. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We have some questions that we're going to run through, and feel free to jump in. Be 45 minutes, and let's just enlighten those who are on Facebook or who are on YouTube that's watching. So let's share that. Mike, share the screen for me, please. I just want them to see the objective, and then we'll go from there. How's everybody feeling though?
Good. We're good.
All right. So I have this right here. Where's Kirby?
You froze.
Yeah, we froze.
Take it to myself.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you see it? All right, let me read it to you. This is basically what it is. Today is the objective itself is we're going to provide a space and opportunity for educators and or parents to speak with other education professionals and ask questions about schools reopening. The other objective is to receive your overall feedback and input on various school reopening plans. Now, what today is not a finalized plan. We are not informing you of next steps, as we may not be aware of the guidelines of your particular school district. We are not advising of any next steps, but rather providing generic information regarding our thoughts toward the reopening of schools. We are not providing you an answer to all of your questions you might have, and we will not address all comments and concerns to frequently asked questions today as we move forward. So that's what today is not. We're not guiding anyone. We're just giving some thoughts. So the first question is, how does everyone feel about the reopening of the school system? Like, how do you actually feel about them going back to school? What are your personal feelings about returning? And you can tell us whether you looking at it as an administrator or a parent. Doris, you have children. Kirby, you have children. How do you feel about reopening the school? Like, what are your first thoughts? Anybody can start off. Go ahead.
My babies are not going back to school. They not. Only because, and I think okay, so that's the mom hat, right? So I don't want them back in school yet until we don't have a plan. I'm just the type of person, if we don't have a plan, that means that we don't have structure, and that's just, I don't see how we're going to do it. So if somebody were to come up with a plan, I can then be like, oh, okay, well, okay, maybe, but I don't even have a maybe. So that's that. But then putting on my teacher hat, I feel like my kids have changed a little bit. And I know it comes from the socialization that they're missing out on in school. And I know how important that is to be around your peers and to have structure and that socialization. So it's kind of like, I feel like they're losing out, but I have to go what is more important, and that's a plan. And we just don't, there's not one there. It's unfortunate that they're not gonna have that though, because I know how much being in school and that development, how important that is to them. So.
Right. Okay. The school district that you're in, they didn't provide a plan or an outline yet?
No, I'm in Hillside School District. I didn't receive anything yet. And that's not to say that there's not one. I just have not received one yet, and I have to go with I'm not doing anything, and I already told my job that back in March. I'm not doing anything that I'm not comfortable with, because I know that this is real. I know that people are dying from it, and if we don't have a structure or a plan to keep everyone safe, it's not worth it to me. It's
Right.
I would like to say, good evening, everyone. Coming from an administrator's position or a teacher also, number one, as you know, schools were shut down about maybe March 13th. So you had everyone just home. They are now going into the schools to do cleaning and putting up different 6 feet apart. Schools are a social event for children. That is a social event. They're there from, some schools open from 7 to 2:30, some open from 8 to 4. So now there's no extra curriculum. High school students may be able to adjust to it. But now figure the first day of school. Kids coming in have not seen each other. This is a social situation. They want to hug you. They want to hug their teachers. I just feel that at this point in time, there is really not a plan. There is really not a plan. No matter how much you clean a school, there is not enough custodians to be able to clean behind the bathrooms. There's not enough PPE. There's not enough masks. You have kids that are silly. They're going to take off their masks. They're going to put magic markers up their nose. This is real. I mean, I've been in this for 19, 20 years. This is real. You have kids that are have discipline problems that are going to come in and be defiant. So there is really not a plan. I think at this point, if we are cleaning the schools down, there's not good ventilation. Some schools don't have air. Some schools' windows don't open.
Right.
So if you having these kind of situations and you have COVID, who's taking temperatures before the kids get in the building? If the kids are on the bus coming to the school, who's taking their temperatures before that? Some parents drop their kids off at the bus stop. We have to be really mindful of every little situation that is going on here. And then if they get to the school, who's going to send them back? So this is just some things that we really need to be mindful about. And if you're a mayor in your city, I know a lot of cities, the mayors are working very closely. I'm not going to speak of any specific ones, but a lot of the mayors are working very closely with the Board of Eds of trying to get it opened. It's not feasible. Give us a year, at least till December, maybe. The numbers are climbing,
So one of the statements that was by the parent is that one of the statements that Mike is going to share on the screen, one of the statements from one of the parents was the numbers are still spiking, right? So here's some of the questions, y'all. So if you can look at the screen, if you're not on your phone, because I know some of you are on your phone, but these are the questions. Just take a minute. I wrote them just like they said it. I wanted to write it just the way the parent said it. So just look at it. So we have, will schools provide masks to all learners? I really doubt my 5-year-old can sit and remain 6 feet from other students. We have to get real. Will staff and students be mandated to be tested? What are your thoughts, Mr. Williams? In New Jersey, currently we're spiking. This along with the flu season, there is no way we should be opening. Just look at Florida and Arizona. What are the plans for a student with asthma? I'm in the healthcare field. It's unhealthy to wear a mask all day. You are recycling the air that comes out of your body, and it is wrong. If schools are using tons of disinfectants, did they think about how much their child is being exposed to COVID-19 and tons of chemicals? So those are just to name a few. Will schools disinfect the bathrooms throughout the day? This is crazy. It's not safe to start. What about kids with a 504 plan or an IEP? Doris, I know that's passion. You're passionate about stuff like that because you and I worked together for years. I have to work. I would have to rearrange my schedule. Now, if we stop right there, the parents, I just want to make sure that whoever's looking at this, whether they're on Facebook or not, this is not a dig to anybody. We are not babysitters. Let's just put that out there. Teachers are not babysitters. So when you say I have to work, I would have to rearrange my schedule. That is a personal thing, and that is your main responsibility. You will have to rearrange your schedule. But I wanted to hone in on that because we are not, a lot of people send the students to school thinking that we are babysitters. No, we're there to educate your child, give them a quality education. How would recess work? That's a big one because in our state, you can't take away recess from fifth graders. So how would that actually work? If they're in the school for a certain amount of hours, they have to have recess. So from pre-K through 5, they have to have some type of recess. How would that work? You know? So go ahead, Ms. Reddick, you were going to say something?
Oh, no, I definitely agree with the recess comment. Also, it pertains to PE as well. By, state law, they actually have to have a certain amount of time per week for PE and for recess. So, but you can't wear a mask running around for PE and for recess. You can't expect the kid to keep a mask on during that time. It just logically, it just does not make sense. So on that topic, yeah, that's a tough one because by law, they have to get that time. So how are they going to accommodate the law for that time when you have to keep a mask on at all times? Right. And you're not supposed to be near each other, so.
Right, and just
2 students who actually passed out and died in China
because
they were having recess with mask on. So,
and Kirby, you teach first grade, right? You're going into first grade this year, right?
Going into first grade, yeah.
Right.
With kids who have no social distancing skills whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the main ones. People are wanting to know, how will you keep students away from each other who are used to interaction? How are you going to have a 5-year-old with the mask on staying away from the other one? And I put it up on Facebook as a joke, but I was very serious. You're going to send them to school with the Batman mask. They're going to come home with a Spider-Man mask. Like,
I also wanted to touch on something that Ms. Kirkland said about who is going to take their temperatures in the morning when they come in. All of us in education knows that even if we take their temperature in the morning, it does not mean that when they woke up, they did not have a fever. Yeah. These parents who have to go to work, and please excuse me, I'm off camera because I'm taking my braids out, but these parents who have to go to work, they give their kids Tylenol when they know their kids got the flu and send them to school. So they can know that grandpa or grandma or auntie or uncle is at home with COVID symptoms. The kid wakes up with a fever. Let me give you this Tylenol, and they still going to send them to school. So who's going to protect the other kids and the teachers from those situations?
Right.
Just because I know that doesn't mean you don't have to.
In some school districts, so the district that I work in or the network that I work for, they're going to take the temperature at the door. But I didn't even think about that part, right? Like, they're taking the temperature. My school is allowing us to, we have an app. We have to sign into this app and talk about our symptoms, and it asks you these questions. And then you press OK, and then it sends you a badge or a little ID or a little scanner, and then you scan to get into the school to say that you did not have those symptoms or whatever. But some teachers are still concerned, like, okay, what happens when I get there? So that is like a health department type of answer that we can give. The thing about it is, I know that one of the main questions is, what if a staff member is COVID-19 tested and they're tested positive? What do we do with the students after that? Do we quarantine the staff members and all of the students? Or, how does that work? But I think some districts are like, okay, we're going to air out the school. But then who else got it? You know what I'm saying? Like, who else got it? And one of the main things is, what are we doing about students with asthma? That is the main question. What are you going to do about those students with asthma? And I know that Ms. Reddick is a PE teacher. Congratulations. She is now a supervisor. Got her supervisor license.
Congratulations.
Excellence up in here. So, but I know that you were talking about asthma as well, and I want you to share like those concerns. Like, what does that look like?
Well, I know for me, since I actually suffer from it, I take treatments daily. So for me, it's high risk for me. The weather it makes a huge difference. Definitely for me, working at the school I work at, their cleaning supplies, depending on the scents, the smells, it make a difference. So just imagine for a scholar that's asthmatic and having a mask on. I know people, like, I've read different articles saying, oh, it doesn't change your breathing patterns or anything. In 90-degree weather today, I had on a mask. It does. I'm asthmatic. It does. It makes me feel like I'm hyperventilating. I can't keep it on all day. So just imagine a student that have to walk up 3 flights of stairs to get to the floor that we have to get to, and you think they have to keep a mask on. It's insane, realistically. And then for students that are 504, by law, we have to accommodate them. How can you accommodate an asthmatic student in a setting where you have to keep a mask on?
Hold on, Reddick. 1 second. Doris, can you do me a favor? Can you educate everyone on here? I know Ms. Kirkland probably could as well. Can you tell them what a 504 and an IEP are?
Okay.
Can you just let them know?
A 504 is just an accommodation. It's an accommodation that you have, I believe, until you are 21.
Yes.
And it can be something from as simple as a calculator to a person to just getting up and walking. I've had 504s that are like, guess what? Every 20 minutes, this kid might need to run. Right. So if you're lucky enough to have help with you in the classroom, right, that would be, that would be an extra responsibility. IEP is an individual educational plan.
Educational plan.
Thank you. Individual educational plan, my words. And that can just that ranges from anything. And that's what I'm noticing the older I get, and from different schools. I mean, that literally is based on the individual. I've never seen an IEP the same. I've seen the same kind of things in them, or the same kind of recommendations, or something else that you could do in the classroom, but every single one is different. So if you have 26 kids and 8 of them, let's just say 8 of them have an IEP, each IEP might have 4 different things that you have to do for 8 of those kids, and they have 7 different classrooms.
And now the students are inclusive.
So right.
Yeah.
As they should be. I feel like I'm in support of that. Yeah. But this is going to make the school so cold if we go back. There's some kids that need sometimes to be hugged and need to be touched and are gonna touch you. I mean, Kirby, you going into 1st grade, you are absolutely right. They're going to be tie my shoe. What color is this that just came out my nose? Give me a hug. They're going to be, that's how they are, as they should be, right? Because they're 1st graders. But it's just going to make.
Doris, you muted yourself.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Doris, you're unmute. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, we know that we're just going to have those teachers that are just going to be like, don't touch me, no hugging, no this, no that, and why you look like that, and why this, and why that. It's just going to make school a very cold place, and the school is supposed to be a safe place. It's supposed to be a loving place, and we're just not there yet mentally. We don't know everybody's background, what they have gone through, who might have lost or whatever. It's not the timing. And like Ms. Kirkland, like you said, like at least December or after flu season, like just give us a second to heal and to get a plan. It's just not a good time.
A lot of schools have like a outline or a plan that they share with their parents, but as a whole state, there's a lot of schools that are not prepared for this. They are not prepared to go back. And we have to address like the social emotional part as well. And so that is one of the big components that most parents are concerned about. You've been locked up in the house all of this time, and now, the students really, really want to get out. But if we wait until December, our students or scholars would have been in the house from March all the way to December, which is a total of 9 months. How would that actually impact them? And that's what people are thinking about. Like, some families are like, I need them to go back to school because they want to. Like, my son wants him to go, my child wants to go back to school, so they're going to push for that. So a lot of schools are doing a hybrid model where there's some days in school, some days out of school. I even heard today from a town hall meeting that they're doing last names, like by last names, which ones go for 2 days, which ones stay home. What's your thoughts about that?
Can I say? I think actually with that, I think the hybrid is like a yes and a no. But the only thing for me is most schools are overpopulated. So how do you think you're going to accommodate? I have a class with almost 30 kids in it, and we have to be 6 feet apart. We sit on top of each other on a regular. I don't understand how it's going to be possible. I get the hybrid for the parents that feel like, okay, my kid has to go because they don't have any other option. If those teachers agree with it and they want to be in here, that's fine. If those parents, that's fine. But I just think realistically, even hybrid, it might not even work because you're still going out, surrounding yourself around 50 plus people at a time and then coming back home. I get it might be day 1, day 2, day 3, y'all might be switching up, but just imagine Johnny gets it on day 1 and he come back to school by day 5, 17 more kids now have it.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Ms. Peck, Ms. Nadia Peck is a 2nd grade teacher. So let me just introduce everybody once again. Ms. Kirkland is an administrator. She now is a teacher. You have Ms. Jenkins, Doris. Doris is a teacher and a parent. Ms. Reddick is a teacher for the 5th through 8th PE. Nadia is a 2nd grade teacher. Kirby is a 1st grade teacher. Taisha, I believe, is a 1st grade teacher. This says Coach Manga. He's the other dean. He's another dean of a school at my school. And this is Ms. Crystal Johnson. She's the director or principal of my network as well. So I just wanted to make sure we know who they are. We're not going to name the names of our schools because this is not for that, right? Ms. Peck, tell us your thoughts on the students going back since you're a 2nd grade teacher.
Well, of course, I don't agree with it due to safety concerns and more of the safety concerns for me. I don't, like with Ms. Reddick, I am okay with the hybrid model, but it depends what that looks like. And even if it's like ABC or whatever she said before, like it will be difficult to provide instruction for them if they say they get one day and then a couple of days later they don't, but we have to move on. So I don't think it will be as good for instruction than in person. But again, I feel like in person, again, I'm concerned for safety. And a lot of kids, like everybody mentioned before, I was listening, with asthma and other health concerns, students with 504s. So I think remote would be just better.
Yeah.
No hybrid, no in-person. For me, it's all about safety. I understand kids need to socialize with other kids. Now it's not the time for that.
And can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
When you all are talking about remote learning, are you talking about just having the kids, go online and there's a lot of things online, or are you talking about the like a little Zoom session like we're doing where you're actually present with the child?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what a lot of people are moving to that we required at our school, and I think it was very successful. We had over like a 90% rating with it. We had the students come into the Zoom classroom, and we took attendance every day, and that's going to be another thing. You have to, if you do hybrid, if you have a remote one day and in person the next, the problem that might arise is that if I'm the student, right, and I see that you don't have to be there today and you're at home, I'm going to ask, can I stay home tomorrow and can I do the Zoom session online? And parents are going to try to do that. We know parents will, well, my son didn't feel like it, so I don't understand why he can't just log in on Zoom and just get credit. And then there comes a part of the accountability. If you are at home on Zoom, you are responsible for making sure that your student or your scholar logs in to the classroom. That is another thing that's the only problem that we have with remote as like just a state or wherever. You have to make sure that your son or daughter logs in. And some parents are not willing to do that because they say, well, I have to work. So now that's when we do want you in person, but we don't want to be in person because it's a scary time. And the thing about it is these are all, this group here, they teach a younger grade. What about those high schoolers? Who's taking their temperature? How do we know they're not lying? You know, those are the questions that parents ask. I'm not asking those, but some people ask that, like, what about my high schooler? You know, I don't want him to come and be with another scholar who tested positive, you know, and to even push that students or younger children like pre-K to K or to second grade go back and the other ones stay remote, a lot of people have concerns about that. A lot of them. And one of the main concerns that just came up in the chat, it says, in cases where the teacher tests positive, how far does the quarantine reach? Where students need to be quarantined and households of the students as well. That's a bigger question. Like, those are the main concerns of like parents and teachers. And so I think as educators, a lot of educators are emotionally not there to go back. They're really not there to go back into the school system because they're also worried about their child going back to another school. So, and these are parents on here. But Ms. Peck just said to me earlier today, she was like, yeah, I don't want to put myself in jeopardy of that, you know, because as soon as a kid coughs, we don't know what's going on there. You see what I'm saying? And asking a small child to keep something over his face the entire time, that's going to go out the window. You're going to turn around and he's going to be like, can you hold this?
Right.
You know they are. You know.
Yeah, and so some schools put it in place where the teacher will stand 6 feet apart. How do you think that's going to work?
First lady has a question. Can you hear her?
Okay.
No, she has her mute. She has to unmute.
Mr. Williams, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as a parent of a high schooler, my son's going to be a senior in September. He's going to be a senior. I was just speaking with him and a couple of his friends, and they were saying they understand the importance of masks and why they need to wear them, but they're even concerned as seniors going back into the building and having to try to wear a mask all day long. So one of the things that the board is talking about in our town is doing alternative weeks. So they're talking about the children coming into the schools 4 days, Monday through Thursday, and then working from home remotely Friday and the following week, and then coming back the next following week and being in the school for 4 days. And they're talking about taking their temperatures when they hit the front door, and there's supposed to be some type of, the thermometer is kind of the size of a iPad, where it does space scanning and their temperature checks and all that. And there's supposed to be somebody at the front door at the entrance doing that as they come in. So this is a lot of stuff they're talking about that's not really worked out yet. They're still throwing it around, and parents, just as you all are talking, have the same questions and the same concerns. And then even I thought of just what I think it was Doris had said it earlier, or someone said it earlier, the children are taking a bus to school. So if you're taking their temperature when they get to school, what happens between the time they get on the bus and the time they get off the bus to get their temperature checked? And then students, I mean, even high school students, there's no such thing as social distancing. I mean, even in between classes, changing classes, the halls are so crowded. I've been there when the bell rings to switch classes. It's just children on top of children, on top of young people, on top of young people. And then if, as a parent, even if, say your child is asymptomatic, right? Or they pick it up from someone who is asymptomatic, they come home. I have a senior citizen in my home. So now maybe I don't get it, but what happens if my teenager passes it on to my senior citizen and they got it from school? So there's a lot of reasons why the parents and the administrators, I said, what about the administrators? What about the teachers? What about the maintenance people? What about the cafeteria? We all come into contact with young people every single day. The PTA workers, they come in, parents volunteer their time. So even if you're talking about trying to break up the classes, it's still almost an impossibility to isolate this disease, right? So even the young people have an issue with trying to get back. And my son said, they can't even get us to take our AirPods out of our ears. They can't even get us to take our do-rags off our heads. How are they gonna make us keep a mask on when they're not looking, you know? And so there's just a lot, you know, all of the parents and all the teachers, everyone has genuine concern for good reason. And just as you said, the ones that are making the decisions are not the ones that have to actually be in the line of fire. So we're praying for all of you. Praying for all
I think even to piggyback off of what you said, think about for not just when they get to school, but when they leave school. Where are they going after they leave school? High schoolers or even middle schoolers. Where are they going after? Because you know they gotta stop at the store. And some people take Ubers home, or they take the Uber to school. So from the time they left your house, when they didn't have the symptoms, now they're walking in, and now they're just walking around with something because they done touched it. Right. Now, here's another.
Transportation.
Yep. Yeah. Another question is, what do you guys feel about the vaccine? Parents were asked this question: when the vaccine is made available, what are your thoughts about the vaccine?
Absolutely not.
I won't be a frontline worker.
No, not gonna happen.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I will not be a test pot. No.
Okay, absolutely. And your child would not be given the vaccine, right?
Not right away.
My kids are old, so she can make that decision, but no.
I mean, my husband's Muslim, so we our kids are in just our youngest one has had some of his vaccinations. My two older ones, one Shahid will be in 8th grade, Ezra will be in 6th grade. They have been healthy, never have had the flu, anything. We don't get flu shots. My husband we don't believe in that. My youngest one, because of my mom, we got pushed to give him some of the vaccines, but luckily we were able to find a doctor that understood where my husband was coming from. But I no way am I going to do this vaccine. Absolutely not. And I feel like it's going to come to us first, and that's more of a reason why I don't want to do it. I feel like it's going to come to us first for some reason. It's going to come to brown and black people.
They're testing in Africa now. They're testing some things in Africa now.
I don't know why. I don't know. Our makeup is just different, but that's on another topic and story. I just don't know what no, absolutely not.
Okay, so one of the questions that a parent posed was, once the vaccine is made available, do they think that schools will push them to get the vaccine, or will they be penalized? Ms. Peck, go ahead.
What? I'm sorry. Did you repeat?
Sorry, I freaked out.
Once the vaccine is made available, parents are concerned that schools states may push them to get the vaccine or be penalized for not coming to school.
I don't agree. I don't do flu shots. Like that's not me, I guess. Back in 2010, or like around the H1N1, I did take that shot and I got sick. I had it. I legit had it. So I think like flu shots like give you like the actual flu, and the I guess the COVID will probably give you COVID. I don't know. But based on my experience, I feel like it's not necessary. Yeah.
By law.
I was just advised by an administrator. She stated to me, she said that, she probably stated to me, she said more than likely they're going to push for that, not schools, but they're going to push for it to be part of the immunization as far as trying to get back into the school system. They're going to push for it. They are. So,
but by law, as it stands now, even if a student doesn't have shots, you cannot teach that kid. That kid still is allowed to come to school if they don't have their immune shot. Even when a kid is brought into a district, you have to go through the nurse. You have to go through the whole procedure. Kids are in school that don't have that don't have shots. It is not by law that you can stop teaching a kid because he doesn't have a shot.
Absolutely.
So we need to know, and one thing we need to start to know are the laws.
Yep.
Laws. And I'm going to tell you this, is that they want the kids in school because this is federal money.
Money, for the money.
The money. So the kids sit in school for 2 to 3 weeks That's where the school gets their funding.
But can I jump in on that?
Yes.
I do. So usually what ends up happening, because that is exactly the right point in terms of saying where they get their funding. But what they usually do when it comes down to that immunization process, and they are very smart about it, they wait until after the time frame for when you get the funding, and then they start sending home those letters stating that if your child do not get get their immunization, then they will start saying, okay, we're going to suspend your child for a certain amount of time. So now that puts fear into a parent to get them to actually do
right. And I was going to
but they do wait. But they do wait until they get their funding.
Right. Until around December.
After the 18th of October.
Yep. Around there, that's when you start getting the letters. Yeah.
Right. When you start getting the letters. Now, if everyone is smart, because parents are the best advocate. Parents are the best advocate. If you don't believe in shots, it's a religion situation. They cannot force you to not. All you have to do is bring in a letter, have it notarized. That's it. So parents have more power than they realize at this juncture. If all the parents would stand and realize that their power is just over the top, because they have the say so of their children, of whether
that's you're talking about the children receiving the vaccine. But what about the teachers? Because there are, like with the flu shot, there are employers who require, those working for them to get flu shots. So is the Board of Education going to require the teachers, they have to get a COVID shot?
I don't think so. I've been there for 19, 20 years. We've never had to, it's never been a mandate.
Yeah.
For us
it's
to
mandated.
It's never been a mandate. So I don't know if this is something that might be passed or that might come along, because they're trying to get everyone in the building.
Yeah, well, Trump is the president.
Right, yes.
Yeah. A simple letter. Ms. Kirkland, you're right. You could just go there with a letter. I don't even have mine notarized. I just go there with a letter and a surah and a scripture, one from Bible, one from the Quran, saying whatever, and we both sign it, and here you go. Yep.
Absolutely.
But it is more, about the funding, and around that November time, it's always like, oh, after Christmas break, they can't come back. It's very threatening. And if you don't know the law, that's scary. That's very, very scary as a parent when you don't know your rights and you're like, you can't come back in January. It's a very threatening letter that they do give out.
Right. One of the other questions I have is most of you, since all of you are educators, has your school put something into place where you can go back if you wanted to, and what is your option? So I know Ms. Peck, your school put something into place. Ms. Henderson, did your school put something into place as well? Or Ms. Taisha or Ms. Reddick, did your school systems put something into place already? Do they have some type of plan that you can actually look at? That they should communicate it with you and parents?
Hello, everyone. I was on the return committee, and nothing was solidified. So everything was everybody just gave their opinion, but nothing was set in stone exactly what we were going to do. But from a person that has pre-existing conditions, going back is not an option for me. I have mixed emotions about it. I listened to what everybody said, because I'm a mom first, and then I'm a teacher. My son's school, they have a plan that I feel like it suits the school, because the school is very small, only has 60 students. And they only get allowed to have 25 students in the school at a time. The temperatures are going to be taken in the morning and at night. I don't agree with that whole temperature thing, whether it's work, school, wherever, because just because you don't have a temperature does not mean you don't have COVID. And I just feel like it's not safe, like everyone said. And I feel like it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but I'm on the fence because I know the kids need to socialize. But I see people out with their kids all the time. So the kids are getting into action. It's not like they're just stuck in the house how we were in March and April. So like you were outside all summer long. So that part, I feel like the whole social thing, it's okay. The remote learning part, I didn't want to chime in where everybody was saying, so I just collected all of my thoughts. The remote learning, I'm a first grade teacher. It did not go well. I'm sorry. I do not agree with it. It has to happen, but I do not agree with it. As for like everybody in the very beginning, it was difficult for everybody. As a teacher and a mom for myself, it was difficult because my son had to be online and then I had to be online teaching. So trying to make sure he's getting the proper education as well as my students getting the proper education, it was hard to juggle in the beginning. So I speak from a mom standpoint and a teacher standpoint. Do I want my kid to sit in front of a computer for 6 hours a day and listen to his teacher? Absolutely not. But if that's what he has to do to keep himself and myself safe, then I'm all for it. My son's school is a little bit different because they're going to stream live all day long. So for the parents, they sent out a survey. So you got an option to choose. And they were going with the parents who had to go back to work and it was inconvenient to them for their kids to stay at home. They got seniority for their students to go back to school. So what they were going to do is stream live all day long for the kids that stayed at home. I didn't agree with that, but I felt like it was better than a Zoom call because, you know, you're getting the actual lesson. So if my son is able to ask questions and interact with the streaming live, that was good. But still, again, I don't want him to sit in front of the computer for 6 hours like he was in front of the classroom. Whether he take a laptop and he sit on the porch, he's still just sitting in front of the computer. So that's why I have mixed emotions about it, because as a first grader, you could barely sit still in the classroom for 5 minutes on the carpet.
Right.
So how you going to sit in the front of the computer and listen to Ms. Ford talk to you and try to ask you questions and read aloud and ask you higher order thinking questions and have you answer, restate the question. Like, it's hard at the primary level. You know, it's easy for 6th and 7th graders to listen to the teacher and go back and return I do, you do, we do. But as far as primary grades, it's impossible. It's literally impossible. And then summer school was the same way. We had like 6 kids in the Zoom and it was like, sit up, don't lay down on the couch, turn your TV down, make sure when I'm reading the story, you mute your camera. And even when we set the expectations at the beginning, it's hard. And like, this is the new norm, but no matter how long we've been doing it, it's still hard. And it is a major adjustment and it is hard for everybody. But what is most important is everyone's safety, right? Because if we go back again and somebody gets sick, what do we lock down the whole school? Because then again, we're back out of school. So it really does not make sense. Do I think by December they'll have a plan? No, I don't think nobody knows what we're going to do, but keeping everybody safe is what's most important, is how I feel.
Yeah.
Also, Mr. Williams, our township has a road back to restart and recovery plan for education. It's been loaded on our website, the township website, and it's 104 pages long. They're having, right, exactly. They're having a meeting on August the 4th, next Tuesday. It's virtual, of course, where they're going to be answering all questions, and they're going to have the superintendent of schools, just absolutely everybody, just everybody. And also there is a form online that we have to fill out. A parent has to fill out if you want your child to work remotely from home. We have to sign, we have to answer all the questions, fill it out, and send it back by August 14th, I believe is the date. So each time I get notification, I'm taking notes, I'm writing down whatever. I did open up the plan, but it's 104 pages long. So I'm trying to weed through what the most important parts, because as you know, it's just a lot. I don't know, it's just a lot. Everybody's doing the best they can. It is temporary though. What we're talking about, it sounds like it's forever. It's not forever. So the uncomfortable, the new normal, we all have to ride this train until things get better, whatever that looks like. And even as you say, when the vaccine comes out, no one, I don't think anyone on this call right now is agreeing to take the vaccine as soon as it comes out.
Absolutely
if at all, if at all. So, you know, you're talking about a couple of years down the road before things, I don't know if they'll ever go back to what it was. You know, we argue about, years ago, they used to argue about having to wear a seatbelt. I come from a generation where you didn't have to wear a seatbelt when you rode in the car. And when they brought that, they said you have to wear a seatbelt. People didn't want to do it. So what did they do? They made it a law. And then if you don't wear your seatbelt, you're going to get a ticket. So I think it's going to come down to that with the masks and everything else, because there's a long road ahead of us to this virus going away, to this pandemic not being a pandemic anymore, whatever that looks like.
Right. Our school system, we did come up with a great plan. It looks wonderful. I looked it over. Those who are in our network, I think it was a collective, like we came up with a great plan. I think that everyone's in favor of it? Of course not. Because that's just human nature. So I just wanted to hear about the different ones. So thank you, Taisha, for that. Kirby, I think you were going to say something. Did your school system come up with a plan yet, or did they communicate anything with the parents?
No, we're still in, I guess, the survey phase. They're sending surveys to parents and teachers to ask our opinion of what we would want to do, whether we want to do all virtual or hybrid or come back to school. But no, there's no actual plan set in place. Earlier, I was gonna mention something about the facilities, like as far as, because you said something about being prepared, and over the years we have gotten prepared for social learning, not social distancing, where are doing collaborative learning. So we got rid of all the desks and everything is our tables now. So we're not even set to go back to school to have kids set apart in their own desks, because most classes have tables. So this comes down to a government money issue, or is the government now going to pay to now replace the tables for the desks? We can't even talk about if we're going back to school if we're not even prepared financially to provide separate desks for the kids. Right. So that's a whole other issue.
Because that whole table thing, that's to build. They took the desk out to build more community. Like you sat at the same thing. So I didn't even think about that from the elementary level, because I know in the middle school we have desks, right? And so one of the parents also, in the question that was presented earlier on the forum, it said, why can't students have like cubicles? That would be a lot of money. And I don't think any school is going to spend that amount of money right there. Because if you have a class that is about 16 people, it's going to move down to about 12 or maybe 10 people in a class. So that's already a problem, because now you have to look at the structure of the building and see if you have the space or the capacity to spread all of the students out, because they're not going to be in a normal classroom setting. 26 students usually can be in a class, but now you're taking that away and putting 16 to 12 students in a class. That's already a nightmare in itself. And then you would have to turnkey that and also provide cubicles, or they said partitioners, like on all of that stuff as well. So it's going to be like the government would have to spend a lot of money on these things, which I don't think that they're willing to do. They're not going to. I don't think that they're willing to go that far to spend it out. And I think that most of this is a political agenda at this time for a bigger thing than what we are, and that's another subject. Like, I think this is bigger than what we are. They're rushing us, the Secretary of Education, rushing because this is an election year, all of those things. I think that all of these things come as a head, basically, it boils down to like a political thing. It's not really caring about like the students, not our local municipalities, not like our schools themselves. I think they care, but I'm talking about like as a bigger thing. I think more people are realizing that it's really not about like your safety. They just want to get the economy moving as soon as possible.
In this new stimulus package that they're proposing, they're including it. They have to vote on it, but they're including $105 billion for schools to get themselves together for reopening. But that's real with all the states and all the schools in every state. That's not a lot of money. So.
And then the time frame to get supplies to open is just not there. I mean, I do the budget for my school. So doing the budget for my school, I start when the kids get out June. I start June ordering for September. And sometimes the supplies are still not there for September. And it takes a whole summer for what our school had 2,500 kids, and I'm talking about high school. So now you have that many children, you have what, four floors. You still don't have enough custodians that have been hired to do the work that needs to be done on a regular basis.
Right.
And you're talking about air conditioning still not work. It's not feasible. It's just not. Our kids are our children, and we must be mindful. And I'm just hoping that we can find a way. I don't know, maybe we can find a way to reach parents, you know, because like I said, I've been in this 20 years, and it hurts my heart because these are our children. These are our brown children. And it's hard enough. And First Lady, as you talked about your son, and, you know, not only your son, but Joshua, all of them are graduating next year. And, you know, I'm sitting here saying, okay, how can I plan for them to be successful for the next year? Because my kids didn't graduate. You know, they didn't walk. The kids didn't walk. So it was hurtful that they didn't walk. And then, you know, later on, some of them did start to walk later on, like for the last couple of weeks, they've been sitting doing graduations. You cannot keep high school kids apart from each other. You cannot switch them. Like First Lady said, they're in the hallway. It's like being at Broad Market when they're done.
She's right.
And I'm serious. We have a Broad Market by the cafeteria. That's what we call a Broad Market, because that's how many kids you have in the school. Now, are you going to switch the teachers? Or are you going to switch the students? How are the kids going to be in the cafeteria? These are just things that people just do not understand. And if we as parents, like Mr. Williams said, we are not babysitters. We are not babysitters. And this is a time that parents need to be parents to not pay renters.
Yeah.
They need to be parents. If you cannot leave your children at home, this is a time to put your foot in their neck and say, listen, this is a time that we live in. If our ancestors did it, we can do it. And I believe as parents, we as communities, we need to come together and explain to our children, we have to live. We have to move on. This is not going to last forever. If you have a person on your street that's athletic or a gym teacher, 12 o'clock, everybody outside, 6 feet apart. Let's do some jumping jacks. Let's get it in. We are creative people. We are creative. And we can find a way to make it doable for our children and not just send them back just because the government says to send them back. I'm done.
Right. One of the things that she did say that I did like that my school system did do, we're trying to put in place where the teachers will rotate, not the students. Now that is one of the challenging things. Like, how do you get the students to stay there? And like you're rotating and they're sitting in one spot. I don't think people understand that it is no longer pre-K, first or second or third graders that cannot sit still. 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th do not like to sit in the seat.
9, 10, 11, and 12 either.
Which is why the other administrators that are on here can tell you, and Ms. Reddick and Ms. Peck, Ms. Doris, all of them can tell you this is why we see them walk the halls. Like, and I'm looking like, okay, why are you in the hallway again? And they're like, I had to use the bathroom. This is the 5th time because I got the camera on my computer. So I know you don't have to use the bathroom. So how are you going to get students to sit there even though you have the teacher rotating? So I'm not going to name my school, but I do commend them on a great job. I just want to see, like, you know, what's going to happen as far as, you know, what others might do as far as the teachers are concerned. Because now it is no longer just about the students. The teachers, you have to worry about if they're really going to come back and return. That is the thing. And if you don't have a staff, then you don't have a school, right? So if you got staff members who feel unsafe, you don't have a learning environment that's going to provide quality education. So we're going to take some final remarks from everybody because, again, this is my church. My pastor, First Lady, we do it on time. We get off. We get on time, and we leave on time. So that's what it's almost 8:30, and I don't want to like keep anybody. So we're gonna have some final remarks from each person, if they will. I'm gonna just pick random ones. Doris, go ahead, start us off. Final remarks, feelings, concerns, anything.
Just stay in prayer, because I just and exercise your right. I mean, we always talk about we're the most powerful country. That in other countries, smaller countries, when they do not agree with something, they go for the head people. They exercise your rights, know the law, and just pray. You can pray for people. You have to pray for people in power over you. That's what it says, because they make the decision. So just keep them in prayer down to our president. Keep people prayer, and just know your right, know the law. So,
all right.
be safe.
Ms. Reddick, any final remarks?
I'm gonna agree. Just pray for us, especially the teachers that they're trying to put on the front line, and not thinking about the scholars as well. Just pray for us, because I don't agree with the scholars or the teachers going back. I really don't. Especially for the teachers that have pre-existing conditions. There's nothing set up for us. Nothing. So financially, I feel like they're just thinking about the money right now. So I want y'all just to pray for everybody to have to go back to work and have to actually deal with, everything that's to come with it.
Got you. All right, Ms. Peck.
I agree with Ms. Reddick. I guess pray for me as well. But I definitely do agree with coming back. Again, with me, it's all about safety. The fact that there are so many procedures already just to keep us safe from it is alarming to me, because that lets you know that this is like beyond serious and we should actually just, work from home. But it is what it is at this point. So yes, pray for all of our teachers, our poor kids. Flu season is coming. I feel like it's just going to get worse down the line. All the procedures and reopening plans that different districts have already. I don't know what my school is doing. I'm glad, Mr. Williams, that you know what your campus is doing, even though we work for the same network. I do not know yet, sadly. So I lost my thought, but it's just the reopening plans will probably just, change throughout the first half of the year. So
got you.
That's it. I'm done with this.
Ms. Henderson, go ahead.
My prayer, we're going to pray Psalms 91. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadows of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God who I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence, aka COVID-19. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. Point is, we're going to pray the word of God, and we are going to believe that no matter what we have to do, whether it's stay home, whether it's go to school, we believe God.
Thank you. That was a nice prayer.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Kurt. Trying to preach on here. All right. Taisha and then Coach Mangan.
Oh, I don't have no closing remarks. Sorry.
All right, thank you. All right, and Megan.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Did it freeze?
Thank you for allowing me to come and perform. I guess closing remarks, you all said some, insightful things and had some, thoughtful questions that I'm going to take back to the leadership team that I'm on. But the one thing I'm going to say is you have to do what's best for you and the family members that you are loving and caring for. I'm a father of 3, and 2 high schoolers are going to 2 different high schools, and a 5th grader incoming. And we've decided at my house that my 5th grader is going to be remote but my high schoolers are going to, fall into the plan that fits their respective schools. As a professional, I have to go to work. I don't have a choice. My wife was laid off. She was a breadwinner. She was making over $130,000. So right now I got to go to work, and I don't know about my options in terms of taking a layoff and not going back to work. So I don't have a choice. So what's best for me is to go and make sure that I'm socially distant when I'm out, making sure that I'm masked up and keeping myself away from, being socially distant like I spoke about, and I'm masked up. And also as a coach too, it's hard to coach your players now because you got to remain socially distant. So there's a lot of things that's being changed and a lot of things that we can't do, no longer blow whistles at practice. So there's a lot of changes, coming on this side of the realm too, educationally through sports. But my closing remark is you have to do what's best for you and the people around you to ensure that you have the best in mind for your family and yourself, and just hope that a decision is made collectively, because I know educators do care, or some educators do care. The decision makers do care, but I don't think the people above them care. I heard someone say that. So we got to go to school so we can get money. We got to go to school so that bills can get paid. We got to go to school so budgets can get opened up and reworked and thought of. But there's a lot of things that the world is not processing to ensure that these little babies are safe. Until we mandate some testing for everybody, I think that there's no safety alternative, to be honest. So that's my remarks. Thank you again. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this open forum.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. Megan and I actually work together. Ms. Kajo, Ms. Johnson, if you're still on. I don't know if she's still on. All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. I just want to say to Mr. Williams and to everyone on, Mr. Williams, thank you so much, because I feel like this was an extremely great platform that you were able to bring together, especially God-fearing people on a one call, because one thing that everyone has articulated is the fact that we need to make sure that God is who's going to oversee all of what needs to be done. I do feel like we're talking about reopening plans, but we already know that God already has a plan. So we're making plans, but in the end result is going to be whatever God's plan is for us to actually fulfill. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And, we just got to pray over everyone, that all our leaders, all our teachers, all our parents, all our students, and making sure that everyone is able to be covered, and making sure that everyone is able to make the right decisions. And, that's all I really have to say. But I just want to say thank you, Mr. Williams. This was a very good platform.
All right. Thank you, Boss Lady. All right. And I'm sorry, Ms. Johnson. I call her Boss Lady. All right. And Ms. Kirkland, take us home. Unmute yourself. Yes.
All right. Mr. Williams, this was a blessing. You've seen my post, and I have been quiet for a while, and I'm very passionate about our children. Like I said, it's something that God had put on my heart, and I've been in it for 20 years. The first thing we must do is continue to pray and just maybe not only pray, but do some fasting. Yeah. Turn our plates down. This is a serious thing. There are a lot of logistics that a lot of people are not looking at. And these, as I have said before, these are our children. Mm-hmm. If we need to come on another platform, Mr. Williams, and maybe you can bring parents in or something of that sort, but pray. Prayer is only going to get us through this. And like First Lady said, this is not going to last forever. This is a storm that we are going through. And I believe through the storm, we will be rejoicing at the end, because we will stand this test, but we have to be steadfast on our beliefs in this. And if you have to go back to work and it's something that you need to do, just be safe. I just pray that you be safe and make sure you have your mask, your gloves, and all the tools that you need. If you can do virtual, do virtual. Some of us are not able to have the benefit to stay home. But if your children go back, please make sure that they are safe. My objective is to keep them home, to keep them all home. There are remedies that we can do to make sure that they are successful. And as a people, we have done it before, we can do it again. And there was one thing that was said today, good trouble. When John Lewis was there, good trouble. Good trouble.
That's right.
And thank you for the platform.
No problem. Thank you all for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. I asked all of you because I know that, first of all, this is Black excellence. This is what Black excellence looks like. And so I celebrate all of that. We have teachers, we have deans, we have a principal on here, we have other administrators, we have people who do the budget. Doris, thank you so much. Doris is one of my favorite people. I looked up to her. She's a model teacher. So is Ms. Peck. And then I have my coworker, Mr. Mangan, and Ms. Johnson, and Ms. Reddick. And Kirby is an excellent educator that I know. And Taisha, I go to church with. So this is what Black excellence looks like. And then I have my pastor and first lady, who are also professional people. They don't say "tooken." They don't say words like that. They don't speak like that. They sound the word out and know that the word "the" does not have 14 syllables. So they actually are educated people, right? So hopefully wherever you are, whenever you go back to work, if you're going back to work, wear your mask. We're not one of those, let's not stop in the middle of the store. Some of these different people, our melanin deficient people, we don't want to act like them and go into stores talking about we're not wearing masks, right? So we'll leave it at that. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think we might have to have a part 2 because we might have some parents. I think we'll have there are 9 educators on here tonight. That's such a big deal. That's a big deal. But maybe next time we'll have about 5 and have 5 parents come on, right? So thank y'all so much. You are dismissed. Everybody unmute yourself and say hello to my pastor and first lady. Just say, hey, pastor and first lady. Everybody.
Hey, pastor. Hey, first lady. Hello.
Let me just say this before you guys leave out.
Yes.
That just in case you're not aware, teachers are marching in New Jersey, out in Somerset County. There's a couple groups, Somerset County Education Association or something. There's a couple groups there marching. There's an article about teachers in Plainfield marching. And so I would encourage teachers to let their voices be heard, get together and march, go to the county capital or go to Trenton. And I would encourage you all and everyone to blow up the governor's phone, blow up the governor's email.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can just let your voices be heard. Put the pressure on him when the governor sees the teachers marching, and when his phone is constantly ringing off the hook, it puts pressure on him to make changes. So let your voices be heard. And I enjoyed all of your comments. Thank you very much for sharing on tonight.
All right, guys. See y'all later. Enjoy.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
Minister Williams. Thank you, sir.
Doris, I have to call you. You and Kirby. I'm gonna call you as soon as we get off.
Okay.
All right.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye.